because whenever we were walking through the Gospel of Mark before we left for Israel, I was talking about how Jesus comes in and he says, the Pharisees are trying to say, like, what is the greatest commandment? And he says, well, the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind and all your strength. Yeah. And the second is to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, whenever Jesus is quoting this, he is quoting from the Shema, which the Hebrew people knew. I mean, like, they would say that day after day, and they would talk about that. But in the Shema, it says, love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your strength. Well, then when Jesus comes in, he adds that word mind, and we're like, well, wait a minute, does Jesus not know the scripture?
Know the scripture?
Like, he is the word of God. Of course he knows what he is saying. Well, that word for heart in the Hebrew is leb. It's L-E-B. And that word in Hebrew encompasses the mind as well as the heart.
Yeah. Wow.
And so whenever he says that, then what we start to see is, like, sometimes we know that we love the Lord. And then sometimes we feel that we love the Lord, and then sometimes, like, it is just all over us, and we can start to feel that. And I think that the Lord knows that, like, sometimes you are going to be feeling it, and sometimes you're not going to be feeling it. I mean, think about your marriage, and just how you have been with your spouse all of this time. And sometimes, like, you just are feeling it, and you just feel that in your heart. But your mind knows you love him. Like, you love him. And it can get you through those rough patches. It can get you through some times when you're in the valley. Whenever you aren't maybe feeling it, then you can have that love that still is going around and around. So it is the loving the Lord our God with all of our heart and all of our soul and all of our mind and all of our strength. And if we start to love the Lord like that, then we see that it does encompass everything, that we are body, mind, and spirit. That we have to have all of these things together. And as we start to have that relationship with the Lord, like we have with human relationships here, then we see that,
It's
and
so true.
It's not just an emotional love; it's a mind love.
Oh, yeah.